Welcome to Life and Liberty Radio with David Householder. I'm Josh Jose, and together, you and I are taking another step toward freedom, both spiritual and political. So get comfortable, breathe in, and ignite your imagination. Envision a society that is spiritually deep and truly free. It's easy if you try.
One of the most gripping stories from the ancient world is the story of Joseph from over 3,000 years ago. Perhaps you saw Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, starring Donny Osmond, as I saw in person. It's a phenomenal story about some people in Israel, with Jacob and Leah and Rachel being the head of the household and having 12 kids, more or less, that became the 12 tribes of Israel. And one of those kids was Joseph, and Joseph was the bright one, the favorite one, and the siblings got jealous and threw him into a pit. I want you to picture being in a pit. The Bible says he was cast away into a pit, cast off into a pit, and generally that verb is only used when you go at least 20 cubits, 30 cubits. So he was thrown into a huge hole, so big that people going by wouldn't see him, even if looking straight down, because it was too dark. And that's one of our biggest fears, isn't it, that we're going to just disappear and people walking by won't see us. And we think of all the people that have gone before us that nobody remembers. There are billions of human beings of which there is no record, not even a name, not a gravestone, nothing. And oblivion has to be one of those things that bothers us. What happens if we are no more? Well, Joseph was in this pit, and Jacob, his father, was mourning for him because the brothers implied that he was dead, even though they knew he wasn't. They knew that he was put in this pit, and some Midianite traders took him out of got him out of the pit. And the brothers sold Joseph into slavery to Egypt. But what was meant for evil by the brothers turned out to be good, because he ended up being the viceroy, or right next to the king, right next to the Pharaoh in Egypt during a time of famine. So he ended up in the pit, but then he got in trouble again. He got falsely accused by Potiphar's wife and ended up in jail. And the same thing happened to him again. He made friends with this guy, did him a favor, and he said, "Please, hey, don't forget me when I'm in prison." And sure enough, he did. He forgot him. So there he was in pit number 2, being forgotten, as if you didn't exist, as if you are invisible. And all of us have felt that way in conversations where we can't break in, no one's paying attention, no one's noticing us, and you wonder, if I weren't here, would it make any difference? This is how it feels to be in a pit. And we think of depression as being in a pit, not literally but figuratively, where we can't get out and nobody notices us. Nobody knows that we're there. There's a beautiful old hymn, "O God, our help in ages past," but it has a chilling verse in it, and here it goes. "Time, like an ever-rolling stream, soon bears us all away. We fly forgotten as the dream dies at the opening day." Well, Aviva Gottlieb Zornberg of Israel, she was educated in Scotland, has written some amazing books, and one of them is The Beginning of Desire. And I'm putting the link for that on the web page, because she's written several books which are without parallel in my mind for studying the ancient scriptures of the Bible, the Hebrew Bible. And I would just invite you to get all of these books, because they have totally changed the way I look at these Bible stories. They're a completely fresh way of looking at the oldest part of the Bible. And they were recommended to me by a rabbi here in Los Angeles named Mordecai Finley from Or HaTorah. But anyways, Jacob basically and the brothers would use a very special word in Hebrew to describe where Joseph was. Einenu. And basically means, and he was not. He did not exist. It's not to say that he's dead, because really nobody had proof of that, or that he's going to come back, because no one had proof of that. He was just no more. He was not there, not existing. Einenu. And this is one of the most important Hebrew words in the Joseph story. And the truth is, with this word, we feel like one of our biggest fears, as I said, is that we will be treated as if we don't exist. A few generations from now, there'll be no record of us at all. We fastidiously put together all of our photo albums as if they're precious, but a couple generations later, people can't put names on the faces. They're not sure who these people are. Well, there's another person in the Bible, Enoch. And Enoch is a very mysterious character. Oh my goodness, he disappears. And the Bible uses the same word, Einenu. And he was no more. And the truth is, the people back then didn't see him taken up into heaven, didn't see him killed. He was missing in action. And they didn't know what to make of it. And they interpreted it not through complaining, but through faith. Here's this guy that was with us, now isn't. And through faith, they believe that he was taken by God because of some virtue that he had in faithfulness and trying to fit in with God's project, as opposed to being a grumbler or a complainer or someone who always has grievances. So you have Enoch, who was taken, who was no more, Einenu. And Joseph's family would, when they were asked, where's Joseph? They'd say, Einenu, he is not with us. He has been taken. He is not around. Now, when something is missing from our life, or someone is missing from our life, missing in action, our mind can say, well, that person has died or that person has moved away. But our minds are puny. They're not as strong as our subconscious and our soul. And our soul often has faith, has hope. And there's this curious mixture of despair and hope in the stories of Enoch and the stories of Joseph. But let's talk about you and me. When you and I miss something, when we lose something, when we lose our health, lose our income, lose our finances, lose a major relationship, and it breaks up. When bad stuff happened to us, during that very first time we hit a major health problem, and we have to go into what we call as a procedure, but we know it's an operation. And in we go and do what we need to do, and we hit that stuff in midlife, and it's so scary for us, because most of us have had a pretty successful first couple decades. Then we hit this midlife thing, and the failures start piling up on us. And we start to have that curious mixture of hope and despair. Despair happens to us, of course, in the mental, we're thinking, and hope comes from deep within us, the spiritual. And I would just invite you to how would I want to say that, to cultivate that spiritual side of you, that part of you that is hoping, that part of Jacob the father who knew that Joseph just knew somewhere in his spirit that Joseph was still around, that hope that people had when Enoch disappeared, that he'd been taken by God because of his righteousness, not because he just vanished and was eaten by wolves. To continue to hope, not pretending there's no problems, but in the midst of the problems, in the midst of our brokenness, financial, social, spiritual, whatever kind of brokenness we're going through, that we can have hope within the middle of it. And so when something's missing, it's an opportunity to grow in our faith. It's an opportunity to grow our spirits. It's an opportunity, like the stories of Joseph and the stories of Enoch, to thrive in persecution, to grow in times of affliction. And you and I both know we get a lot more out of difficult times than we do out of comfortable times.
So put some sunshine and water on these fresh ideas and keep taking that next step toward freedom. Join us every weekday for the latest life and liberty ideas. The views expressed on this program are purely those of the presenter, and not necessarily those of the advertisers or organizations or persons with which the presenter has a relationship. Please click on the Amazon banner at the top of the Life and Liberty page, and consider doing all your online shopping through this portal. See you tomorrow.